Hello, good morning. I thought I'd come on a couple of minutes early because every time I do these, I think some of the notifications aren't coming through on people's Facebook. So I thought if I go a bit early, we'll have a chat for 5 minutes and wait for everyone to join us and then we can get going. Happy Monday, another week. So we're into our, second week of February already. The year is just flying by already. So I am with you today doing some chainmail, which will be really nice. I was going to do some wirework earrings and then I changed my mind because I've done wirework a lot recently. So I thought I would give you a break and we'll go back to a bit of chainmail. For those of you who are in the bead club, I'm hoping I'm going to make you fall back in love with chainmail today. I know my pendant probably put you off for life. So we're working with size 6 seed beads and 6mm jump rings today. So I'm hoping this is a nice way to introduce some of you to chainmail. If you had a look at the unisex video that I did, all about unisex jewellery, we actually made an inverted round piece of chainmail, which I know loads of you loved because you have shared all of the pictures on the group and there were so many different takes on it, which was really lovely. So if you loved that, this is the next step up for you. So I thought we could progress that chainmail on as well. So good morning, everybody. Let's say a little hello to everyone. Good morning, Alicia. Hi, Jitty, Dean, Beverly, Jan. Says hi, Sarah, and everyone from a sunny Weston-super-Mare. Really looking forward to this. Oh, thank you, Jan. I'm hoping you enjoy. It is miserable here. It rained most of yesterday, got rid of all of the snow. We still had loads of snow. So that's pretty much gone. It looked a bit weird when I looked out in the garden this morning. It's all green grass. Good morning, Camille. My favourite's chainmail, she says. Yay! So I'm going to do Byzantine or Byzantine, depending on how you say it, with a little bit of a twist today. So we're going to add some seed beads in there as well, which just breaks up that chain. So for those of you who like a pop of colour, then hopefully it will give you that as well. Good morning, Ruth, over on YouTube as well. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. So good morning to both. Hi, Lisa. From a gloomy Plymouth and Devon. Yeah, it is here too, up in Lincolnshire. Good morning, Sarah. Have to catch you on replay. Have to take the hubby out to get free wood. Oh, I hope your fire is burning warm this evening. Hi, Kitty. Loving Monday mornings at the moment. Still in my pyjamas. Quite right too. Kitty swapped her Saturdays and Mondays for days off. So I hope you're in bed having some toast or something and a cup of coffee. Good morning, Jo, as well. She says she's looking forward to this as well. Lovely. So hopefully we've got the majority of our regulars with us. If any of you are watching for the first time as well, just give us a little hello. Oh, Mina, you're just down the road from me. Well, ish, in Leicester. Foggy as well. Yeah, it's horrible here. Natalie says, had a go at chainmail this weekend to make some little earrings. I think I'm going to have to have a go at this one. Lovely. This is one of my favourites, the Byzantine. Actually, I should have picked up my little bracelet. I'll grab it in a moment. So the great thing is with chainmail, and especially with a Byzantine weave as well, is that you can make it in absolutely any size of jump ring. So for those of you who are a little bit more reserved, haven't done chainmail yet, you would like to start with bigger jump rings, we do actually have 10, 8, 6 and 4mm jump rings. So we've got that whole spectrum of sizes. Of course, if you are able and fancy the challenge, you can make this in 4mm, of course a lot smaller. I'm going to go for 6 today, but you can do it in any size, and the bundle we put together is with 6s, and I'm going to use size 6 seed beads as well. So it's really lovely. Oh, good morning, Shelini. I hope I've said your name right. In Zimbabwe, good morning. We are international again. Oh, Janice says, not my favourite chainmail, find it hard on my fingers. Janice, you would be better going with a larger size as well, because you just don't need as much grip. Oh, Ruth, I don't believe you for a second. She says, I bought a kit and I'm useless. We will fix that today. Okay, so I am going to show you. Oh, Margaret says, good morning from sunny Carlisle as well. Good morning, Robin and Miriam. Lovely. I've got lots of you on Facebook and YouTube, so I'm going to get going. Hopefully you have found us. The notifications, because we've changed the way that we stream on the service, just make sure that you like the video, and then it's all a bit techie, but Facebook will then realise that you like watching these videos and it will show you more of them. So the more you watch, the more you interact, the more you'll get the notifications. But we are here every morning at 10 o'clock. certainly for the rest of February. So I'm going to show you onto the website because I'm going to show you the materials that I'm working with, and the chainmail booklet is back in stock. So it's probably the one product I get emailed and messaged about the most. So I'm going to hop on to the website and show you that now, so that you can go and grab your goodies if you need to. So head on over to totallybeads.co.uk. We do ship internationally, so no matter where you are, I'm pretty sure we'll reach you. Now, these are all of, sorry, I did that without even telling you, didn't I? Categories down to Facebook tutorials, and that will give you all of our videos and all of the materials that we are using. So it was the floating necklace designs and your little trick to wear multi necklaces on, what day was that? Saturday. The fan necklace with Kitty yesterday. So everything that we have done throughout the week. Really diverse, from weaving, crocheting, beaded orchids. There really is a lot to cover, and today is going to be the Byzantine chain. So in here I've got everything that I'm going to be using. I've got the 6mm bundle of the jump rings from £9 down to £7.50, and you get 900 approximately, because it's done by weight, 900 jump rings in here. So you have every colour, and I'm going to show you them live in a moment. So that's our silver, rhodium, black, gold, champagne and rose gold, and you can also buy matching clasps for all of those if you go onto our finding section. So this is for only the jump rings. They are 6 by 1mm. You get 150 of each of your colours, so plenty to be making your necklaces and bracelets. Now this is my chainmail booklet. It's really in depth. It's 17 pages of chainmail jewellery. So we've actually done 7 different weaves in here. So that's a 2-on-2, Mabias flowers, knotted Mabias, double spiral, helm, box and Byzantine. So you can get your written instructions in here. So I'll teach you all 7 of those weaves, and then also I've done 3 full sets of jewellery using a combination of all of those. So necklaces, bracelets and earrings. So just to show you how to make the most of those weaves and actually turn them into jewellery. But you're going to learn all 7 of them, and that's £8.99. So it's been out of stock for quite some time, but we have that back. And then I'm going to be using size 6 seed beads because they fit beautifully onto the jump rings. So just go and pick your favourite colours. That's probably the hardest bit of today, is just picking your favourite colours in your beads, because you'll get all of your jump rings in there anyway. Now lovely Lucy is going to be putting up some links for me, so if you've got any questions, she'll keep an eye, answer where she can, highlight them for me, and I'll go through them as much as possible. And then if we've got links to products or you want to know anything, then that will be in there as well. Good morning Edward. Hi Lorna. Says good morning Sarah and Kitty. Forgot to charge my tablet, so I have to watch on my phone, or they'll have me in smaller screen today. Probably not a bad thing on a Monday. Question, with the chain with beads work, will the chain with beads work for this tutorial? I think it was on Facebook tutorial in the 12 days of Christmas. Very similar. So the chainmail that I did with beads was using a size 6. I think if you mean the kit will work perfectly. Size 6 beads and size 6 jump rings, 6mm jump rings. I'm just going to show you a different weave. So if you've got your 12 days of Christmas and you've got some left over from your kit, get them out and start making these with me now. That will be absolutely perfect. Okay, so let's get going. Oh, Camille says it's not hard to choose the beads because she'll just have all of them. Okay, yes, Mina, the chainmail kit will work perfectly. You've got all your materials there that you need. Okay, so there's a couple of extra bits that I'm going to use. We're going to use a pair of pliers. So I am using my flat nose and my round nose from my plier set. The scoop comes in really handy. I'm also going to use a couple of head pins. If you want to, Natalie, I think the nickname for Lucy is Lucy Legend. Oh, there we go. Lucy Legend is on admin. I love that. Okay, now stay with me as well, because at the end I'm going to show you all through our bead club. Lots of these lovely ladies are from our bead club, and I'm going to take you through some of that. Kitty and I had a big old chat on FaceTime on Saturday and actually planned the next 6 months of bead club tutorials. So lots for us to get making, and that will all be added to the website within the next week or two. So I'm going to take you through that at the end as well. Lucy, we all are on a Monday morning. I'm struggling. I've got my coffee and my water on the go, so I'm going to have to keep on sipping on them just to wake me up. Okay, so this is the Byzantine weave. Now, without the beads, if I turn it on its side, you'll see it in its kind of true glory, how it's meant to be. And what I've done is actually added in these little pops of colour with the seed beads. I think it just gives it that really lovely texture, little bit of difference. And then, of course, you've got that lovely pop of colour when you wear it as well. Now, Byzantine, in terms of jewellery chain, has been used for centuries. It really is fabulous, and you can make it yourself so simply. Now, I'm going to give you just a little look at what it looks like in a 4mm. One sec. For those of you who have known me a little while, you will know that this is one of my works in progress. But this is it in the 4mm, so very delicate and petite. But it just shows that once you are comfortable and once you are happy with the actual pattern, you can downsize it as well. I haven't done it in smaller than a 4. I'm desperate to finish this one, and actually I'm going to start it again because these are our new jump rings. And they are a fabulous non-tarnish. They are going to last me a lot longer than the ones that I was using to do this many moons ago. So I think I'm going to start it again once, I don't know, maybe if I ever have a day off, I'll do that. But for today, we're going to do it in 6s, so it grows a lot quicker, a little bit easier to work with. So I'm going to use, this was our lovely rose gold. I'll show you all of the colours that you get, because you are going to get all of them in here, and I'm missing one. It must have been the one that I was using. It's probably on my tray. So I'm going to use the rhodium today, which is the silver. You'll also get the black. There is also, this is the champagne gold. I might have to show you the rose in a different colour. You also get the true gold, so a brighter gold. And then you also have a rose gold, which is very similar. This is in the 4, but it will show you the colour. Very similar to the champagne. It's just super soft. I'm going to use the silver today, and I'm going to bring these in ever so quick. So straight from the bag, you will notice that your jump rings, they're not closed perfectly, because the way that jump rings are made, it's just a wire all coiled along a really tight rod and then cut down the middle. So because they are coiled, of course, they are going to have that ever such a slight overlap, like so. Now, I'm actually going to open and work with every single jump ring today. So I want to open them all. So I'm going to take my flat nose pliers, hold it on the side, take my round nose pliers, and I'm not going to hold it at a point because that's going to put a lot of pressure on just one point of my jump ring. So I'm actually going to turn them so that they are vertical through the ring, and then twist it open towards me. Now, take your dominant hand towards you, because it means that when you're then picking them up while we're working, because I'm right-handed and I've twisted my dominant hand towards me opening them, the right side is actually poking up off of the table. So it's going to make it really easy for me to pick up whilst I'm working, because what you'll find with your chainmail weaves is that a lot of the time you need to hold a position whilst you're working, but you're also going to have to then secure that with a working jump ring. So it really makes it handy. It makes it all very one-handed if you have them open and prepped and ready to go. And then, of course, because I've taken my dominant hand towards me, it's going to be easy for me to pick them up. So I'll have a nice little pile of working jump rings, and then my jump rings straight from the pack, which if I need any more, I can open them up. So it always is worth just taking 5-10 minutes before you start, just to make sure you've got that pile ready to go, like so. And as you can see, they're a really nice size. They're not tricky to work with. I'm not opening them too far. I'm just giving it a nice open space, enough that I'll be able to add them in. What you will find with jump rings is if you open them too far, you are now putting a real strain on that middle center point of your jump ring. And when you come to close them, it's going to be harder to line it up perfectly, but also you're going to start weakening that joint, which we don't want. So I'm only opening them probably about 4 mil, no more. So it's just that little knock of the wrist to twist it open. Okay, now to begin with, I'm just going to give myself a little chain. You can keep this on as an extender chain. So if you have a little look at the base of this one, I've just got 3 jump rings that are linked together, no weave at all, just individually linked. That's going to help your cages, because what we're making are these little cages in our Byzantine weave. They fold in on each other, so it's going to prevent them from flopping open. You can pop an eye pin on the end, you could use a paper clip, a bit of ribbon, anything that's going to mean you can hold on to it, because as we know, with your first few links of chainmail, you always need something to hold on to. It's just like when you start weaving with your seed beads, the first few rows are always a little bit trickier. So to link these all together, I'm going to do just a little row of 3. I'm actually just going to perfectly close 2 of my jump rings straight from the pack, and I'm going to take 1 of my open jump rings, and I'm going to pick up the 2 closed ones, and then I'm going to close this up. So just holding it in place, and when you're closing your jump rings, make sure that they close with a perfect finish. So you might want to slightly overstretch the closure, because with your jump rings, when you bring them together in your hand, as soon as you let go, you might find it springs a little bit. So take it just past the closure, because then when you let it go, it will spring back into place. So that's going to give me my little extender chain. You can add a pin onto the end of it or anything. That's enough for me to hold on to. You could even add your clasp on as well. And now we'll start going with our actual Byzantine weave. So for every link in my bracelet, I'm going to add on 2 jump rings. So I'm going to add this one on and close that off, pick up another open one and go through the same jump ring, like so. And then also close that off. So if I hold this down, you'll see that on my last link of my chain, I've got 2 jump rings. Then we're going to take another open jump ring and go through the 2 that we've just added on, and we'll close that off. And I'm going to do the same thing again. So what you'll notice is that I'm working with my right hand and I'm holding with my left. So my chain, as soon as I've added it in, so I'm adding on a second jump ring to those 2. So now I have 2 links of 2 in my chain. And this is where you can now start to create the Byzantine weave. So every time I'm adding a jump ring, I'm adding it with my right hand because I'm right-handed, and then I'll swap on and hold it with my left so that my right is then ready to pick anything up. Now this is where we make the lovely weave. So I'm going to hold, and this is why you need that little extender chain and something to hold on to, because now just poised at the end of my fingers are my 2 links of 2. And remember I said you need these 4 jump rings for every cage that we make. So I'm holding them just below, so I've got these 2 at the top. And then what we're going to do is split them open. So my first 2 jump rings are going to go left and right. The 2 jump rings below that, I'm going to open up top and bottom. So you can see now I've just opened and exposed that little section in the middle. And I'm going to take my pin and I'm going to grab the bottom of the top 2 jump rings. So can you see that? I'll show you again. So I'm holding the little extender chain. My top rings fall left and right. The middle jump rings open up top and bottom, and that exposes the base of these top rings. And I'm just going to take my pin and go in and pull up the bottom of the top 2 jump rings. And when you turn that on its side, you get the lovely cage. Now I can hold this, can you see that? As soon as I let go, it flops open. And that's why you've got this chain to hold on to, because as soon as I pull it, it will pop back into place. Now I'm going to hold this cage so that those jump rings stay in the position. Pick up a jump ring and I'm going to loop through the 2 that we pulled up. And now I can close that off. Now it doesn't matter, you see this? It's completely fallen down. Doesn't matter so long as I hold on to this jump ring now. And remember, for every link in this, we need 2 jump rings. So I'm going to take a second ring and go through those. And then when I pull them, that cage will pop back into place like so. So I've got my cage and then I've got my 2 on top as well. Now we're going to create another cage. These 2 in the middle are just going to link my actual little cages. So what we would do now is actually add on another cage. Now for your first couple, because I'm adding the beads on, for your first couple, just get used to doing it. And I'm actually going to show you the difference now between a box weave and a Byzantine. So a box weave is all of these cages all in a row. So if you wanted to do a box weave, can you see that I've got my cage and then I've got 4 jump rings. So we need 4 for a cage. So if I did a cage with this now, so splitting it left and right, top and bottom, just enough to expose. Can you see now I've got 2 cages lined up next to each other? That's how you do a box weave. So that all the way along would give you a very intricate chain, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's one of my favourites. But the difference with a Byzantine is that we have 2 jump rings in between each of those cages. So I'm going to add on another 2 because 2 of these jump rings, of course, we won't use. Adding on another 2 at this point will give me my 4 to use. And the lovely thing with Byzantine is that because you have that gap of the linking jump rings in between, the cages then point in towards each other, and that's the true Byzantine. So you can see there you've got 2 cages pointing into each other, so they actually flip-flop and show you the opposite direction, which is really beautiful. Now what I'm going to do is link on and add my bead. So I'm going to take, I'll need beads. I'm going to use these lovely silver lined ones. Or these are colour lined actually rather than silver lined. Let's open this up. So I've got size 6 Toho beads. I thought this blue would just give a lovely pop of colour in between the silver. So I'm going to take an open jump ring and I can actually pick up the bead directly from the mat and link it in. And then I'm going to take this one and I'll link it through to my 2 with my cage. And we'll close that up. Now this is the only section in our bracelet that will only have 1 jump ring. Flip that cage back up. So now what you'll have are the lovely cages and then that little pop of colour. So rather than having the 2 linking jump rings, I'm only going to have 1, and I've added in a bead just for a little bit of colour. So now we're going to need to add on our 4. Now there is a little trick in that you wouldn't have to open every single jump ring in your bracelet. With something like this, I don't mind opening all of them. I like the process. But if you want to do a quicker and a little bit of a cheater's fix, I will show you that in a moment as well. And to do that, we will need some perfectly closed jump rings because, of course, we're not going to open all of them. So now I've got my bead on my jump ring, and then I've got 2 links of 2. And of course that will give me my 4 ready to make my next cage. So flipping them backwards and forwards, up and down, and then taking your pin and just linking through. Some of them come easier than others. Just depends how much exposed space you have. Taking that pin, linking it through, and look at how fun that looks when you've actually got the bead in there as well. It just gives you that little bit of difference. So now again, I'm going to do my double link. So linking through just to hold that cage in place. Like so, and every time I close a jump ring, I'm then just holding it in my other hand so that it's freeing up my right hand, ready to bring them in. So they are my 2 linking ones. Now I'm going to show you the little quick fix so that you can add on extra jump rings without having to open all of them if you so wish. It's all just personal preference. So these jump rings straight from the pack, because they're not perfectly closed, I'm going to make sure that I can perfectly close it first because I'm not going to work with them. So that's just going to give me a lovely finish. Like so. So these 2 jump rings are going to be perfectly closed. I won't need to work with them or open them. It actually cuts out 1 step. And so I'm going to take an open jump ring, take my weave, and onto my open jump ring, I'm going to pick up these 2 closed ones, and I'm going to go through the 2 closed ones on my bracelet. And then we'll close this off. Now, if any of you struggle for grip, I'm going to show you an extra tip in a moment as well. So onto that 1 new jump ring, I've got 4. Which means I'm going to take another open jump ring and I'm going to go through all 4 of them. And this is something that sometimes people struggle with. I'm afraid the dogs are going to go crazy because the window cleaner's just turned up. Monday morning madness in the Millsop house. I'll give him a minute. My husband's here to sort him out, so don't worry. So, by only working, I'm just going to leave it 1 minute. So, by only opening 2 of my jump rings, I actually made an extra section. So, I didn't have to add on those 2 others. Oh, everyone say good morning, Curly. I've got Earl and Django here today. So, the 2 of them are joining in. Sorry, Camille, I've also set her dog off as well. John's going to sort them out for me. Okay, so by only opening 2 of my rings, I've managed to create that full set of 4, which is really lovely. So I can now make that lovely cage. So it is a quicker way of doing it because it means that you miss an entire step, but also it means that it is a little bit trickier because... Oh no, Miriam says, don't worry, my dog does the same. She's now only barking because she can hear your dogs. I know, they all like to talk to each other, don't they? I would love to know what they're actually saying. So now I've created that entire cage. I am ready to add on because we've got both of those cages pointing towards each other. The link's in the middle, so now we're ready to add the one with the beads as well. So I'm going to pick up an open jump ring, pick up one of my seed beads and link through. And then we're ready to start again. So the really lovely thing is it's just a constant pattern repeat. So you're just always going to get better at it. Like so. So you've got that seed bead in between, just giving that little pop of colour. Django's going into the kennel, so we won't hear from him anymore. Curly, however, he's a law unto himself. Everyone's saying good morning to them. It's so lovely. I know it's totally unprofessional. But hey, we're all home and trying to do the best we can, aren't we? So we've got our little chains here. I'm going to do one more section and then I'm going to go through some of your questions because I'm very conscious I've been eyes down and concentrating on my work. So I'll answer any questions. So if there's any that I haven't answered yet, just highlight that for me and I will make sure I come back to them. So we'll do one more set. In fact, let's do two more. We've only been half an hour so far, so I'm going to do two more. I'm going to do one with the little cheat and I'm going to do one with opening all of them so that you can see. Now, Diane's just asking, would miracle beads fit these rings? No, they wouldn't. What you can do is add on a pin in between. So a bead with a pin. So let's go first of all, and we'll do opening all of the jump rings. Okay, we'll just do one more little refresher. Now, as you're adding the beads on, because I'm only adding one seed bead on, I want to make sure that they're all facing in the same direction. So this bead keeps on flipping over to this side, but I can see from my previous bead that it should be on the left. So I'm just going to nudge that over so that it's sitting in the right position and add on my next jump ring. Now, if any of you have struggle with your grip at all and you have these jump rings kind of pinging all over the place, as you close them, give a little bit of pressure onto the table, and that's going to stop it from pinging out of your hand and running away from you. So you can always lean on the table for some extra grip. Okay, so there are my two. I've got two more to add because remember we need 4 for every cage. So we'll close this off, add on our 4th, like so, and then we're ready to add our cage. So splitting those left and right, backwards and forwards, underneath, pulling the base of those top 2 jump rings, pulling it up, and that's going to give us that lovely little cage. Holding that so that I can hold them in position, and then ready to link on through. We might hear the old waterfall of the window cleaner now as well. Oh, you get all the excitement with me, don't you? Oh dear, I'm just grateful that you're all so accommodating and you just embrace the Millsop madness, because I can't do anything else about it. Okay, popping this one through. Now, these two keep on trying to link into each other, so I'm just going to go above it. So you don't want any of those links to cross over. You want them to be perfectly like so. Okay, so that's our 2 that are now going to hold it into place. Now, to add on our little cheats way of doing it, I'm going to close up 2 extra jump rings. So remember, if you wanted to do the cheat way, have an open pile of jump rings and a completely closed pile. So you've got your straight from the bag, you've got your open, and then these will be your perfectly closed ones. So again, just in that chainmail prep at the very beginning, close a few off, like so. Obviously I'm only doing, you know, a couple at a time because I was opening all of them together, like so. And then to do our little quick fix, but it can be a little bit trickier because you need to run through all 4, but if you're confident, then you'll be absolutely fine. So picking up 2 closed ones onto an open one, linking it through, closing that off, swapping my grip to my left now. So you can see I've got that open jump ring I've just added and 4 underneath it. So now when I take my next one, I'm going to hold on to that. Window cleaner's here. I'm going to take on those, all 4 of them, and close it off like so. So then by only working with 2, I've still got a link of 4. So they are then my in-between linking ones. This is going to be for my cage, top and bottom, left and right, picking up the base of those top 2 jump rings and pulling it up and through. So you can see your head pin comes in really handy because there's no way you could hold on to that with anything else. You could use a pin, you could use a needle, anything that's nice and fine and is going to get in there for you. And that's going to pick that up. And then you'll be ready for your seed beads. Okay, now I'm going to quickly grab a bead to use. So Diane, you were asking about adding in, I mean, beads should be something that I'm not particularly short of here. Let's grab one of these crystals. You asked about adding in a miracle bead. Would that fit onto the jump ring? No, it wouldn't, because the hole has to be, and this is why the 6s work, the hole has to be big enough to be able to get around the loop of your jump ring. So you need something that has a very open hole. So any large hole beads will work, and that's why we go for the larger seed beads. If you wanted to add in other beads, so for example, if we add in a crystal, and as chance would have it, this is going to look really nice because it's about the same colour. So remember, we have our matching findings across the entire range, all in the same colour tones. So from your jump rings to your clasps, to your head and eye pins, to your ear wires, absolutely everything is all in the same tone. So I'm going to pick the pins. I would use an eye pin, but they're in my cupboard. So we'll make a quick eye pin out of this one. And this is how you can add in holes that don't, beads that don't have the larger holes. So I'm just going to cut off that tip so that I can turn this into an eye pin. I'm going to go for quite a petite loop on my pin. So because I'm making a pin, I've made that eye on my round nose pliers. I'm just going to knock that back so that my pin is up on the top. So now it looks like an eye pin. We'll add that bead on like so. Bend the pin to 90 degrees directly above the bead. I'm going to cut and leave just under 1 centimetre because I'm going for a reasonably small loop. And then with my pin facing up to the ceiling, I'm just going to rotate this pin around, closing up that eye. And now I have a bead that is connectable top and bottom. This is going to become my link to hold my cage together, rather than adding on extra jump rings. So I've got my pin in there holding my cage together. I'm going to open this up just like we did and use it as a jump ring. So I'm going to open that up and I'm going to use this to link through. Like so. Turn it around so I can close that off. Close it just like you would a jump ring. And now that is going to hold my cage together and it's going to be a link in my bracelet. Now, it's not as delicate and as pretty as the seed beads, but if you wanted to add in extra beads, that's a great way to do it. So now I would use this just like a jump ring and continue to add on my weave. So by making that loop, it's effectively my ring. But it means you've got a larger hold bead. Now when it comes to finishing, I've kept this extender chain on here. At the reverse side, I've just finished with an individual jump ring because my clasp loop won't fit through two. So I've added on an extra one on the end there. And then by doing extender chains, and this is actually something that I'm going to do for you in some of our videos, it just means you can adapt the length of the bracelet, and chainmail lends itself so perfectly to it. So by linking those together, you've then got your complete bracelet. And you can see no matter what colour you make it in, it just looks fabulous. Okay, I'm going to go through some of your questions because I'm very conscious I've been ignoring you. So I love the look of Byzantine weave, but when I made one from the rose gold jump rings, by the time I finished, the chain was a completely different colour where I had begun. Is it because I handled it more, and can I do anything about it? So these jump rings are actually a double coating now. And we found that unfortunately, it sounds really silly, but like, I have toxic skin. I can wear any costume jewellery and I can tarnish it super quickly. I made a really beautiful right angle weave bracelet using metal beads, and I wore it once and it turned completely green. Now you can take the tarnish off by cleaning them with like your silver cloths. You can rub the tarnish off. These jump rings actually have a double coating, so these are made to last, and they do have a better coating than some of the ones that we have had before. What I would say, Sue, is that you probably have, and although it doesn't sound very nice, we all do it, you probably have quite sweaty hands. So when you're holding on to it, that sweat is reacting to the metals. Now, if that's the case, wear a glove while you're working with them, and that might help. But then I can't promise that your sweat wouldn't tarnish it when you then wear it. So it's a really tricky one. Also make sure that you use the same components from our ranges, because by mixing metals, they will tarnish quicker. So have you ever found that, like, you might have an ear wire with a bead and a head pin on it, and the head pin changes colour? So it's when you start mixing metals that they will also do that. So just make sure that you use all of the same from the range. So the jump rings, the head pins, the clasp, anything like that as well. And by not mixing them, that should make it last that little bit longer as well. It's just one of those things. It can be medication that you take. It can be creams that you use. I know as we get into like spring and summer and I start using like a tinted moisturiser, that just turns everything green, probably including the bed sheets. But fake tan is a nightmare for tarnishing jewellery. So there's so many different factors in it, and things like medication can actually really affect that as well, because it comes out in your pores. But I am hoping these new jump rings will be a much better quality for you. So do try wearing a glove when you're making them. You might find that will really help, especially if it's whilst you're working with it. I mean, that's turning super quick. So let me know if it tarnishes when you wear it as well. How can I demagnetize my tools? Oh, I meant to look this up. There is a trick on how to do it, and I can't remember. I'll have to have a little look at YouTube. Was doing chainmail yesterday and was difficult because the jump rings kept on flying up to the pliers. Yeah, that is really annoying. You definitely need demagnetized for doing chainmail. I'll have a little look and I'll post something on my page later. Okay, could you show the bead one more time, please? Yeah, adding it onto the pin. I'll do that for you now, Camille. Tip. You need twice as many open as closed for the Byzantine weave. Yes, Susan. So if you're going to do that cheat, you will need twice as many open as you're going to do closed. Remember, I'd said I was just doing them as I went along. When you do that prep, that's a really good way to remember it. Lovely. Oh, Laurie says, good morning. Finally managed to live, although I'm a bit late. Don't you worry. Monday morning madness, isn't it? Lots of you are asking about the instructions. So the chainmail booklet, if you just get your jump rings, it's not going to come with an instruction leaflet. You will just watch the video from today to learn how to do it. If you would like the instructions, it is in my chainmail booklet along with 6 others. So you get 7 weaves in total. See if I can remember them. You've got Mabias, knotted Mabias, helm, Byzantine, box, 2 on 2, and there's one other, and I can't remember, but it's all listed on the website. Charlotte, thank you so much for the stars. Now, I need to learn more about these stars. Kitty was telling me about it the other day, but you can support the artists that you're watching by giving them stars. And Charlotte, thank you, because you are an avid star giver, and we love you for it. We really, really do appreciate it. I think Kitty was I think each star equates to like a few pence or pounds. I can't remember what it is, but the idea is between Kitty, Sarah and I, we were going to accumulate all of those stars and treat ourselves to something at the end of the year, maybe like a little pamper day. We'll have a little spa day or something. Double spiral, thank you, Lucy. That's the one, that's the other. So double spiral, Byzantine box, helm, Mabias, knotted Mabias, and 2 on 2. They are your 7. So within the booklet, you've got 7 of your weaves, and then I'll actually show you 3 full sets of jewellery. So necklace, bracelet and earrings, so that you can then see how to start using them. Now for Camille, I'm just going to go over the adding the pin in as well. So I'm going to turn you back down so that we can just go over that one more time. So let's just add on a few others. I'm just going to open up a few more jump rings. so that we are prepped and ready to go. So add these in, and then we'll add in another little bead so that I can do the cages. It's such a beautiful, such a beautiful way of making a chain, and very often you'll see these in jewellers, which is really lovely, and now you can actually make it for yourself, which I just think is so special. Let's do a little bit of a quick cheat, picking up my 2 closed ones, taking my open jump ring, and it's a little bit harder going through your eye pin because you just want to make sure you've got that space, and there are your 2. So this bit won't be true Byzantine because I'd actually need to do a few more steps, but for the purpose of adding in a bead, let's do that now. So you would add them onto an eye pin. Don't waste your head pins like I'm doing here. Add them onto an eye pin. I just don't have one handy. And you'll see I'm making pretty much a standard sized loop. Oh, not the pin, just adding the bead to the jump rings before the next link. Yes, I can. Okay, so when you are doing your cage, we're going to go left and right, top and bottom, pulling our pin up like so, and then adding on my seed bead. I'm just going to pick it up straight from the mat onto my jump ring, and then this is the ring that will hold it all together. And then close that off. Now, I've added it in the wrong point in this one, so you can actually see it's facing the wrong direction, but that's how you will add it in. So anywhere I've got my seed bead, it is just one individual jump ring, and then you just want to make sure that your seed beads all face the same direction. So for example, on this one, you will find that the bead will want to go one way or the other. Just make sure it's facing the same direction as all the others running through your bracelet before you secure on your next rings. I did also work out that you could add 2 seed beads onto each jump ring so that you could actually have that pop of colour left and right. But it is a little bit trickier because you are closing up so much space in that jump ring, meaning that your workable space is a lot smaller. And I know for some of you that's an issue, and that can make your chainmail harder. Okay, Diane has answered the demagnetizing question. Demagnetizing process include heating past the Curie point. Oh, this sounds very scientific. Apply a strong magnetic field, apply an alternating current, or hammering the metal. Demagnetization occurs naturally over time. The speed of the process depends on the material, the temperature, and other factors. Actually, yeah, I think if you drop your pliers, it can actually magnetize them, can't it? Or demagnetize it. So by hammering the metal, it will change the state. Bit of homeschooling on a Monday as well. You know it's half term, but hey, every day's a school day. Thank you so much, Diane, for sending that through. I really hope that helps. I'm sorry, I couldn't remember who asked about the pliers. But obviously that is going to give you a lovely little top tip, bit of fun for today. Would you be able to trap a bead in the cage at all? Not really at this size. It's when you start doing the beaded cages, and I've done this as a video last year, so that will actually be on there as well. Camille says it, and in plain English. I know, it's gone a bit over my head too, but I'm sure if I read it many a time, it'll come true. With your cages, it's really tricky because you actually need to have the right gauge of bead for the size of bead, gauge of jump ring for the size of bead you're going to add in. So you can see within this cage, I don't actually have any space at all really for a bead to sit. I might be able to sit, in fact, I don't think even a small seed bead would sit in there, because can you see if I move my fingers out of the way, where you've got your linking jump ring through, it completely closes that hole. So at a size 6, a 6mm jump ring, I wouldn't even attempt to do a cage. For an 8mm and a 10mm jump ring, you can get a 4mm bead in there. So I did this with pearls. So it's very similar to the box weave. So like I said, it's those cage after cage after cage after cage, because the way that the jump rings sit actually opens up some of that space a little bit more. I will try to find that video for you. It was many months ago that we did it, but I will try and find it and we'll reshare it on the page for you as well. So if you want to go up in your size of jump ring, you'll be able to do those caged beads, which looks really, really lovely. And the cage process is exactly the same. Okay, so, July 2020, just watched it last night. 2mm smaller beads than the jump rings. Tina, thank you. What are the chances that you watched that last night? So, Eliza, if you go onto the website, and I will show you exactly where to find it now, just so I don't leave you. Go to, and this is where you can come back to all of our videos, Facebook tutorials. If we go down to the very bottom, you will see 2020. And then if we go back to July, thank you, Tina, this is so helpful. Let's have a little look. Beaded chainmail. Fabulous. Here you go. So full step-by-step instructions you can see here. So I've used, if I remember rightly, this was an 8mm jump ring. So it's a 6mm pearl that goes in there. And as Tina pointed out, you go 2mm lower. But because we're doing constant cages, it means that the jump rings, just those cages just open up ever so slightly more. So you can't do it with a Byzantine just because of the way that they link in together. But in there you've got your 8mm jump rings and then your magnetic clasps as well. And there you go, there is the PDF download, just 99p. So you can have a little look and do it. What are the chances, Tina? Thank you, fabulous. Okay, so, it was me that asked about demagnetizing. Thanks for the responses. I will try dropping my tools, just mind those toes. But Judith, I hope it works. Lovely. Okay, so I am not going to be with you now until next Monday. I've got a busy old week of shows. I've got like 4 days of shows coming up for Create and Craft TV. So I will be with you next Monday and we're going to be doing some pearl knotting. This is something that has been requested by so many of you, a very traditional technique again. We're going to be using some beautiful silk and knotting together our pearls. So a lovely technique one for you. But in the meantime, Kitty and Sarah will be here every day in between. Yes, Debbie, the jump ring bundle on the website are the new jump rings. Everything that we've got in stock now is the new ones. So I really hope that they work better for you. Okay, a long one for me today. I'm normally with you for only half an hour or so. But I hope you enjoyed it. Lots of questions, lots of different tips and techniques. And I really hope that you enjoy your chainmail. If you loved doing the inverted round, try this one because I really do think you will love it. And I will see you next Monday. Have a great week. Stay safe wherever you are. Love to you all, and I will see you next week. Take care.